How does your cold outreach helps with your content?
We only send one email ever, there's no follow-ups, and we're like, here's what we've done for other people, here's a booking link. We average 50 meetings a week with just cold emails right now.
Interesting. How to make a video in 10 minutes?
We live in an attention economy. You do volume times booking rate equals number of meetings. So if you just want to increase your number of meetings, you increase the
Would you exchange your life with Warren Buffett?
million followers on TikTok just with my phone, as a 16-year-old making
Amazing.
TikToks.
How many meetings do you get? Like, if I have to talk in terms of percentage, don't build that content pillar ever.
I'm doing all of this input and getting nothing back.
And you're trying everything. You're experimenting different hooks, different topics, everything. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Are We Rolling? Today we have a very special guest with an incredible story. He dropped out from the high school, created multi-7-figure TikTok agency, created a community of 3 million people around the world, and worked with some of the top brands including Amazon, Duolingo, Gymshark, Shopify, and so on. So let's learn from his journey how you can start a content creation agency, or what are the top things you should be looking at when you are creating content for your business. Let's welcome Timote.
Thankfully, with the type of businesses that we run, we're able to work remotely, and I try to invest in experiences as opposed to materialistic things. So I travel quite a bit with my girlfriend and friends of ours. And I think it's been so far one of the greatest investments.
That's interesting, man. Like every guest I've spoken to on this podcast, they have mentioned how travel has shaped them to be a better person or a better entrepreneur. So talking about entrepreneurship, it's very intriguing story. You're a high school dropout. That's what you say. It's not even like a university dropout, but a high school dropout. From there to running an agency, working with some of the top brands in fashion and tech. How did you make it? What was that thing you can say, like, which helped you get this far in life?
I think one of the biggest element is that I committed to sticking to one business vertical for the past 6 years. A lot of friends that I initially started with got shiny object syndrome. So they started with an SMMA and then they saw crypto. So they moved to crypto, and then dropshipping. So they moved to dropshipping. And every time they kind of had to start back from zero. One of the key differentiator, I think, is I've just focused on my main business and just that for now a period of 5 to 6 years. The story of how I went from school to entrepreneurship is a long one, but in a nutshell, I stumbled upon a video by Ty Lopez that was talking about how to live a good life. Not necessarily pitching, how to make $10,000 a month. It's just how to live a good life. And it really resonated with me. And I understood that if I wanted such life, the vehicle would be entrepreneurship.
I think this translates into your content as well. I've seen you never sell yourself, you never sell your agency, but you try to educate people on how to do well in life, how to bring in balance, how to make money. I think that's something that is stuck with you right now.
Sure. Appreciate that. I think I try to give without expectations of, I think karma does its thing, right? So
true.
So that's my approach. And content. My entire sort of career is built around building content. So I always try to do educational content, and hopefully, that translates into something else in the future. I can talk about that actually at length, but like content creation has been the icebreaker in the agency. And
a lot of businesses out there, and I'm not talking about like SaaS or anything in general, but a lot of companies, they focus on cold outreach, they focus on digital ads, but they don't build that content pillar ever. Like I can name some of the top doctors. They like spend thousands of dollars on ads, but when you try to check their socials, they don't have any content creation.
Yeah.
So what do you think about this? Like, is it going to help them?
We live in an attention economy. I've had more opportunities given to me because of the number of followers that I have, rather than how much money I make.
True.
So I think having a brand is just leverage. Naval Ravikant says there's 3 types of leverage. There's capital, labor, and media. And tech, there's 4. And media is the only one that has no barrier to entry. So, but specifically with the TikTokification of social media, anyone can start with a phone from home and become somebody, quote unquote. And I am actually saying this from first-hand experience. I built 3 million followers on TikTok just with my phone, as a 16-year-old making
Amazing.
TikToks. And that has ultimately translated to an agency and so on. But yeah, it's like the great social media is like the great equalizer where the barrier to, is just, willingness to put in the work and the barrier to entry is non-existent. So this is that compared to some other ventures or other ways to build leverage, media is a vertical where you need to put a lot of effort at the beginning with very low outputs.
True.
So if you look at it on a ratio of like how much do I put in for how much do I get out, at first it doesn't make any sense. Probably similar to this podcast or some of these things. Like we're investing a lot of money 100%. And time, and at first it gets no views.
True.
Right? It's only if you commit for like a year that then the balance completely shifts and you make one podcast like this and you make I don't know how much money, but something insane. I'll tell you the story of how this shows on for my TikTok. I was making 3 videos every single day, 3 TikToks every single day, for a period of like 6 months before I had any views, etc. Like all my videos would get 10 views or so.
For 6 months,
yeah,
10 views.
Yeah.
You're stuck.
Yeah. So I'm doing all of this input and getting nothing back.
And you're trying everything. You're experimenting different hooks, different topics, everything.
Exactly. And then over time, you build momentum. And momentum grows exponentially. So at first, it's very slow, and exponential curves, grow faster and faster. So a couple years in, now my input versus output is the opposite. I make one video that takes me 10 minutes to make because it's TikTok, right? It's not like high production.
What are the top tips you can give to someone about this? How to make a video in 10 minutes? I was speaking to one of my friend. He is a therapist. He used to post content, but he went off. I asked him what happened. Now he said like I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
I'm sure he has time for recording, but he might not have time on research or edit it. So what are your tips? Like how can someone make this process effective?
It's just a matter of planning. Like you want to compartmentalize different tasks. So all of your research, all of your scripting and ideation should be within one time block. Then you have another time block for recording, another one for editing, and another one for distribution. When I was making 3 videos a day, on a daily basis, it was less than 2 hours, 2 hours in total from like, starting from scratch to publishing the video.
And these are TikTok videos we are talking about, like 60 seconds at max.
Yeah. And I think if you take social media seriously, I think a lot of people watching this have 2 hours if they can put in 2 hours a day, because like I said, it's leverage that pays dividends for a long time.
It totally makes sense. I have another question for you, because I know you do cold outreach as well as you do content.
Yeah.
How does your content helps you with your cold outreach, or how does your cold outreach helps with your content? Like what is the correlation between the two?
Yeah. Social proof. When we send emails, first off, we can flex who we've worked with or what we've done. But the moment people search for our name or try to look us up on social media, we're there and the numbers speak for themselves.
True. About cold emailing, what is your approach? Like, do you directly go in and pitch, or do you try to educate them, highlight a problem? Like, hey, I saw your socials, the count is less, it could be grown, we can help you. How does that work for you?
We're very direct. We only send one email ever. There's no follow-ups. And we're like, here's what we've done for other people. Here's a booking link. And halas.
That's it.
Yeah.
You are the first person who doesn't do any follow-up. I know the kind of volume you are sending. So what's your reply percentage like when you are sending, let's say, on an average, I think you should be sending around like close to 10,000 to 15,000 on a daily
more like
basis?
25.
Yeah. I forgot. Yeah.
It's volume.
25 to last year, I remember it was 30,000. Now I think 25. So yeah. So what is the positive reply percentage for you with?
I think that's the wrong metric to look at. Like no one cares. How many meetings are you booking? Like that's what matters.
No, I'm saying how many people get back to you with tell me more.
But exactly, I think there's a lot of agencies, and I'm not taking a shot at all.
No,
it's
just like, I get it.
Most time I speak about cold emails, people are like, what's your response rate? I'm like,
this is why I'm doing this podcast, because I have people from different background, different verticals, everyone has a different approach, and I say this always: cold emailing is all about experimenting. What is working for you may not work for someone else, but when you learn from everyone, you can build your foundation on how to experiment and do it yourself. So it's very interesting. And you mentioned like reply percentage is like a gimmick.
Doesn't matter.
So yeah,
Doesn't matter.
So why do you say that?
We don't do follow-ups, so people either book or they don't. And most people don't respond to our emails. They just click the link, book a meeting. Second, it doesn't matter if you have a 15% reply rate but no one books a meeting, then it doesn't matter.
So you are
But if you have a
only-
0 response rate but people book meetings, then ultimately the outcome you're trying to get is book a meeting, right?
True. So how many meetings do you get? Like if I have to talk in terms of percentage?
So it's very minimal, but we average 50 meetings a week with just cold emails right now.
Interesting.
But so if we send about 100,000 emails a week and we book 50, like the percentage is very low. The beauty of cold emails is that it's a simple equation. It's like you do volume times booking rate equals number of meetings. So if you just want to increase your number of meetings, you increase the volume.
Amazing. How do you find time? How do you spend your day? You're doing so much. I'm sure you have a great team, but as a founder, as a visionary of a company, it becomes very hectic. For me, like I can't sleep at night because at bedtime I have a thought which I start working on.
Yeah.
So how does it work for you? And I see like you're in a great shape.
Thank you.
You're like you're joyful. So what's the secret? Like how to have that balance while you run this multi-million-dollar industry?
I was actually having this conversation with a guy in my team yesterday, and I actually don't optimize for the number. Like I don't really care how much money. I'm not optimizing to make I don't know 10 million a month, for example. I'm just yes, I want to grow, but I'm not ready to compromise on other aspects of my life.
Ethics.
I'm gonna be fit. I'm gonna have a great relationship. I'm gonna travel because this is what I care about. These are my values, right?
True.
And so I just agree on the things that I don't compromise on, and then I build with that. And I think that allows me to have fun. I also have periods of high intensity, similar to you, where I'm like on it. Actually, now is kind of a period like that for me. But I enjoy it because I'm making progress. This is fun. I'm like reaching new milestones, new problems, etc. And it's entertaining or stimulating, I should say. So learning a lot, but at the same time, I'm enjoying my youth and I'm traveling because I'm only going to be this age once in my life, and
True.
at the end of the day,
Yeah.
money is just a vanity metric.
Yeah, I
So-
saw this just yesterday. She was questioned. Cody Sanchez, I don't know if you
Yeah.
know about her. Yeah, she was questioned like, would you exchange your life with Warren Buffett? And she said no, because he's 95. He has all the money, but age is what matters. And I'm seeing it right now with you. So yeah, before we close, I want to know like what are the top 3 things one should look at when they are trying to enter content space? I mean, maybe let's say there's a teacher, there's an educator or a doctor who wants to start making content. Of course, they can reach out to you and they can get the 10x result. But what would be your tip to people watching this who make content? Like, what are the top 3 things they should focus on?
Fundamentally, you have to not care about people's opinion. That's the biggest thing that holds up.
100%, man.
What holds up
100%.
everybody.
I agree with you
So
on this.
that's the first obstacle to overcome. The second is having consistency. And my suggestion is, particularly as you get started, is start slow, but build a rhythm that's consistent and you can keep up with. Over time, you can add friction and post more and so on. But don't start making 3 videos a day if you can't even. If you can maybe do that one day, but can you do it for the next 10 years, right?
Yeah.
I think it's Hormozy that says it's something along the lines of don't do today what you can't do for 10 years. So do something that's sustainable now, and as you get better, as the more reps you do, the easier it gets, right? It's like doing push-ups. If you're not fit, doing 10 push-ups is going to be hard, but if you do it the next day, it's going to be much easier.
True.
So start with a rhythm that's sustainable, and it's all about consistency. And if you don't care about what people think, then you're open to experimenting on different formats. What's working for competitors. I think a lot of people also try to reinvent the wheel or try to do something original. I don't believe in that. I think everything has already been said and been tested. You just want to look at what works in my niche, who are the players who appeal to the type of audience I'm trying to appeal to, what's working for them, reverse engineer that, and make your own version.
Sounds good to me. So to summarize this, anyone who has a smartphone can make content. They can find people similar in their niche, find out what's working for them, record, That's it. Just be consistent. Don't care about the numbers. Don't care about the comments. I would add, like, you should be open to criticism, but positive criticism.
Sure.
Like, for example, if I'm putting this content and you tell me like, hey, Moin, maybe you can fix this patch or make it better the next time, I would appreciate that. So yeah, positive criticism, yes, but someone who is not even getting up from their bed posting on that comment, like, you should be doing this, don't bother about those people.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's very nice. I really appreciate the time, and I'm really sorry for the delay, but I think we had the best of the time, and this 15 minutes has a lot of value for a lot of people, man, even though it's short. But I think that I found some key fundamental values from you, which also resonates with some of the successful people. They don't work to make money. They work to make their personal life better. You are also one of them. And when you are driven by that motive, like, I want to have a good time, I want to travel, I want to spend time with my loved ones, I want to do good for, like, do the right thing for people around me. Ultimately, like you mentioned, karma, I call it God. God blesses you with more. And I have this similar thought, like, if God is blessing me with something, it's not for me to buy a Ferrari. It's to help other people around me to, grow, because that's how the world works.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate the person you are and the thoughts, and thank you for meeting in person. I think it's been 2 years, 3 years we've been working now.
Yeah, it's insane. Like, we live in the same city. We've been walking 3 years and never met.
And we didn't even speak on phone. That's the craziest part.
Right.
Because we both are busy. We just text and that's it. Like, we never chat.
No, but you're doing great things as well. Like, we've tried many different service providers for cold emails, and your Inboxlogy has been reliable and a team we can count on.
Inshallah, you will have a surprise. By end of this March, we will have some discounts to beat, like, very competitive pricing, especially for people like you. I can tell you this now. You would end up paying up to $2.5 per mailbox, or even $2 if things work out. Like, I don't want to commit $2, but 2.5 for sure is something which is going to come out. And I don't know if you have checked out, but now you can buy domains as well. So you just mentioned Young with Solution. It will give you all the domains which are available for you. With Young with Solution team and all this, you select the domains, you select how many accounts you want. You mentioned like Timote, that's it. That's all you have to do to build your cold email infrastructure.
That's awesome, man.
So yeah,
I was really surprised with the SaaS. I mean, when the platform came out, I'm like, man, these guys, because I'm like,
there are much more
how
things.
Are these guys making money?
This is something which I learned as a business principle, very young, coming from India. In India, there's a community called Banyas, the Marwadis. They pretty much have everything basic or essentials under their control, or kind of monopolized by them. They run the clothing, they run the food industry, they run the pharma, pretty much everything. And their focus on unit economics is, I don't want to sell 1 kilograms of almonds. I will sell 100 kilograms of peanuts, because the economy wants peanuts and it's easier to sell peanuts. So for me, I've learned that very quickly, and I've always believed in volume over having, like 10 clients who are paying me this much. Yeah. Because one of the clients goes away, you lose like 20-30% of your company. Yeah. Like, you have some commitment coming up, you have your travel plans, you can't do it anymore. Yeah. But if you distribute it among a lot of people, our retention rate is actually 95%, which I don't hear from anyone.
That's insane,
in the industry. So we have been able to achieve that because we lower the entry point for a lot of people to get into cold emailing. Plus, I'm taking an approach to educate people about sales and marketing in general. I find it funny when people say they can't sell. So it's very easy. I think it is the most easiest skill to learn compared to the technical things and science and all those things. But the thing, and again, personally, I don't have greed. I don't want to make tens of millions. I want to have a peaceful life. I want to sleep peacefully at night. I want to make sure like all my clients are doing good if they're working with me. We refund if something has not worked out for someone.
That's amazing. And I think that actually speaks volume to your ability in operations, because handling volume is a headache. Like
that's
so many
why we have the tech now.
Yeah, because a lot of agency owners crack down after, a couple dozen clients. And I have quite a similar approach to you, where I have a big portfolio of clients. Some of my friends are doing similar amounts of money with like a tenth of the number of clients, but they have the stress. There's pros and cons to everything.
Correct.
But they have the stress, like if this guy leaves, 30% of my business is gone.
That's right. I don't want to be in that position ever. And not only as a businessman, but if you just try to focus on people who have money, what about people who don't have access to resources? I come from a background where I didn't have anything. That's why I want to help people, make it easier for anyone who is willing to learn and start this for their business, for themselves. Make it easy. Come on, get in. I even gave 100% off to one of the guy who is an ex-convict. He moved out of jail.
Really?
He wanted to start an agency, and I said to my team, don't take a single buck from this guy. He wants to do good. We will help him come back into the society.
Amazing, man.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Timoté, for your time. I think that was overshot, but I really appreciate that. And